Hi, I'm Jenny Jewell, a retired emergency dispatcher, and I have a little bit of an interesting news story here that I'm nicknaming the Leprechaun Killer. Now, I don't know if that's going to catch on, but I'm calling him a leprechaun based on how he was luring people. So apparently, we have another Auburn, Algona serial killer in the area because now a person that was accused of and has jail time that he's serving now for a murder is now suspected of being a person that has had up to 4. So let's go ahead. This is a very short news clip that I took out of the local news. Going to share that with you so you can see what the news story is. I did cut it up so that the victim family stuff is out of it because I really don't like the drama. I mean, I appreciate it. I want family awareness, but I don't want to sensationalize it here. Hopefully that makes sense. But let me go ahead and play this here.
2 men were found only days apart in a wooded area of Algona back in 2021, and now the King County prosecutor says they were 2 of 4 victims of a suspected serial killer.
KIRO 7's Deborah Horn spoke to a relative of the 2 men in Spanaway, and she tells us.
Yeah, that's a relative I cut out. So out of respect for this individual, again, I don't want to have anything be sensationalized with what you're going through. Hang in there, please.
The alleged killer lured at least 2 of his victims with literally a pot of gold.
And there you go. That's why I'm calling him the Leprechaun Killer. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, lured them out with the promise of a pot of gold, which makes absolutely no sense when you listen to the rest of this. Unless you think that people who have money just continuously want more money. Because again, that's just, everything about it's so weird. And I was talking to my daughter. Actually, my daughter is the one who brought this to me. And because there's kind of a schism in what happened with this announcement a little bit. So when we were talking about it, because we're familiar with the area, we were joking. It's not funny, guys, okay? When you're in the field, though, you kind of gain a little bit of a dark sense of humor, but that's no excuse to use it around, your patients, your charges, people on the phone. But what I'm going to say is that, again, the dark sense of humor perked its head up between the 2 of us. And we were saying, well, we wouldn't go out there to, with a shovel to help dig out a hole in the middle of the woods with somebody we don't know that we met on Craigslist. It's like, okay, I'm not gonna carry your shovel, dig my own grave, and follow you out to the middle of nowhere. That's not gonna happen. So we were like, how does this even happen? So it's kind of like this big disconnect with how does this actually happen? How does this happen more than one time? One time, that's an anomaly. 4 times is like, what? Or even possibly, because I think 2 of them might have been together at the same time. Like, I'm going to go with my backup. Apparently that didn't work. But, yeah, oh my heart goes out to all the families involved here. I want them to be taken care of in the big court system. Now that they're actually under arrest and that they know who is possibly a burgeoning serial killer now in the area. So this happened. Well, you'll hear. Let me go ahead and play again.
It was certainly a fantastical tale, the suspect allegedly telling 3 of his victims he had buried a pot of gold from a previous heist, and he needed their help getting it. Well, instead, according to prosecutors, he killed them and took everything they had on them. That her 59-year-old father, Michael Goman, and 31-year-old brother, Vance Lakey, had been found dead in this remote, overgrown area just off West Valley Highway in Algona.
Okay, so this is where I'm going to add a little information. A lot of that's overgrown. Primarily that area of Algona is industrial. If you have had little local information here, if you have ever eaten a Tim's Cascade potato chip, it was likely made in Algona, Washington, which is technically Algona Pacific. Those are 2 very, very small, they used to be like borough-y type cities. Algona was the bigger of the 2. but Pacific's right next to it. But yeah, it's unless you're like in the area where homes are, where people are taking care of it, you start getting past that to where it's the industrial thing, and then there's like a sloping hill that goes up the other side. Yeah, there's a lot of trees in Washington State, just letting you know. Yeah, the whole thing is really creepy and sad. And the other thing is 2 of the bodies were found, or at least one 100% for sure, was found at Game Farm Park, which is a place that my family and I used to go and go with family and friends and either picnic or, you know, birthdays or kites or what have you. We usually did kites in other places where it had better wind, but if we found ourselves there, yeah. But that place is right by the White River, and the White River is a glacial stream that comes off the mountains. So it's just right by a river, wooded area by a river is where one of the bodies was found. I'm like, okay. So if you're trying to copycat somebody, you're not really, because now, as far as I'm concerned, you've got the cute little nickname Leprechaun Killer. Work your way out of that one. All right.
That was back in March of 2021. Leahy had worried because they were living together on the streets. Now the King County prosecutor believes they were the second and third victims of this man, 40-year-old Richard Bradley. The convicted felon has been in jail since May of 2021 for allegedly murdering 44-year-old Brandy Blake. It was Blake, prosecutors say, he lured with the tall tale about a buried pot of gold. Turns out he allegedly used the same trick in 2019 to snare 36-year-old Emilio Maturin. All 4 of his victims carried large sums of money, drove nice cars, all of which Bradley allegedly stole.
2 men.
Yeah, none of that makes sense to me, right? So let's kill that scream. But yeah, none of it makes sense to me. So I'm one of those weird, strange people. I have had a hate relationship with money. I don't like money. I think the whole concept of currency is just, I'm sorry, capitalist people out there. I'm not saying I don't buy stuff or sell things when I don't need to have them. I'm not saying I'm not a consumer. What I'm saying is that I have been a person, even when I was doing well, of modest means. Never been a person that lived outside of my means. Kind of that kind of person. And so when you hear about these people that they have a lot, where they seem to have a lot, it doesn't necessarily mean that they do. They may be, they might have a nice car, but they might be making payments on it. They might have a nice house. They might be making payments on it. But doing pretty good to be able to pay for a car and a house, as far as I'm concerned. But we're not victim blaming here. Victims are victims, and I'm glad they caught the guy. So it's not... I'm waiting to see what happens with more evidence coming out. I'm curious as to how somebody would fall for that. But, there's people that fall for all kinds of stuff every day. And now W.C. Fields said there's a sucker born every minute, and that's unfortunately true. Buyer beware. Be careful, guys. If somebody says some outrageous story, no matter how good it sounds, like, I have a bunch of gold out in the woods that I'd like your help digging up. You don't know me, but I need your help. There would be, if this happened in Spain, there'd be the running of the bulls or so many flags, right? It's crazy. It is absolutely nuts. This whole story is absolutely mind-boggling to me. And though I actually have I'm a normal person, but I actually have the benefit of having a daughter that exceptional IQ daughter that is just very, I can be acute. I can be, I can notice some things. I'm not really good at noticing a lot of things, right? Like trends, patterns, things like that. But yeah, right out of the air. She's like, yeah, by the way, here's this story. Here's this other story. Here's this another story. So, yeah, It's turning out to be a pretty interesting thing. We'll see. I'm pretty sure that this person is got enough information to go on, or they wouldn't be putting charges on them. But hey, I'm not a cop, not a lawyer. Don't know that stuff. All I know is I'm glad that they caught whoever was doing it, and now it's an interesting little twist that yeah, if they find out he's a serial killer, he's gonna be, as far as I'm concerned, till the day he dies, he's gonna be the Leprechaun Killer. But hey guys, if you got any nicknames for this gentle person who's in jail that killed 4 people, or suspected to have killed 4 people, feel free to drop your recommendations down below. I think Leprechaun's great. If you don't think it's great, tell me. But if you have something better, tell me. If you think Leprechaun's great, give me a thumbs up. But hey guys, take care, stay safe out there, and don't be naughty. Bye-bye.